What's up guys, and welcome back to another video. Today's video we are talking about Springbok director Rassie Erasmus. He's been in the news for a few months now, especially this week, as World Rugby has decided to give him a bit of a smack and a ban. He's been banned from, I think, all rugby for the next 2 to 3 months, and then he's been banned from going to a game or being anywhere near a part of the Springboks at a live rugby event till September 2022. This is obviously following his 62-minute rant video that he did, where he pretty much said to World Rugby, what's going on with your referees? Barry was obviously blatantly put out in the open of the mistakes that he made. There was obviously talk of disrespect from him towards Siya Kolisi, favouring Alan Jones over him, and many other things that were happening during that game that Rassie thought that he needed to express. Now, everyone's different opinion. Obviously, if you're not a South African, you're completely against Rassie Erasmus and think he's a bit of an idiot. And if you're not, if you are South African, there's some who agree with him and some who don't agree with him, and then there's obviously some who wholeheartedly support Rassie Erasmus for what he did. Now, I have two ways about this, and I have given my thoughts on this in previous videos, but, you know, social media is the next form of media. As we youngsters or the younger generations are growing up, social media is becoming the next format. For example, myself using YouTube as a platform to talk about sport. You've got the Rugby Guru, 2 Sets Rugby, Forever Sports, all these upcoming or great YouTube channels that are shining and getting their names out there. We're using social media, YouTube, Facebook, as our platforms to shine. In the good old days, what is media? You would talk to the papers, you would talk to your press conferences and all that jazz, which we know Eddie Jones is pretty famous of, where he says the odd comment that might be inappropriate or might be going against the referee or not. Or, you know, he's very clever at dealing with the media. But for me, social media is also the media. It's just a new formation of media. And in a world where you're allowed freedom of speech, you would have thought you would have allowed someone like Rassie to have made the video. However, to blatantly go at a referee, I don't think was the right thing to do, whether he was right or wrong. These guys are human. They have a hell of a position that they need to do. The pressure alone, having to referee a British and Irish Lions test match against the Springboks, the world champions, is a lot of pressure. And one thing I have noticed over the past is us as fans, as us as supporters and analysts and all that stuff, we are seeing the game from a television angle or from a stadium angle. We're not seeing the game from a referee's point of view, from the focus. We can technically only judge if the ref's got a body cam on, which I think needs to be brought back, and we can then see where he's coming from. Then we have more of a right to nail the positions. And like Nick Barry, he didn't have that camera footage. Bringing in TMO should happen more often. Captain's choice should happen more often, so we could prevent situations like this happening. And I think Rassie just thought, you know what, I'm just going to let my opinion be heard, because he felt that we were unfairly treated and it could have cost us in certain instances. And good for Rassie for doing that, because he's definitely created a storm. And although it's put a sour taste in a lot of people's mouths, people are going to still be talking about it in the next 4 years, especially bringing up to a World Cup, where a forward pass like when the All Blacks lost out in the Rugby World Cup, something like that costs a team a title, then sure, but shouldn't we talk about it more? Or a guy like Bryce Norris, who blatantly refed the most pathetic refereeing game in rugby history in 2011, South Africa versus Australia, where South Africa clearly could have had the opportunity to win. What is being done in order to prevent these types of things from happening? And there's so many more. Provincial, international. What are we doing to improve the game? Now, this video is not to slaughter referees. It's just for World Rugby and the old boys up top to actually start doing something to better the game. Do something to prevent the situations. Ask yourselves, why did Rassie create this video? What is the problem? What can we do to solve the problem? Now you've given the man a massive ban. Fine, well done. It is Springboks, England, this weekend. Maybe fits a bit of a picture here, but anyway. Just kidding. Just kidding, England fans. Just kidding. But it makes you question. I mean, Springboks been what? Director for, let's say, just over a year. What has he done? What has the man done to better the global game? Yes, maybe created a tournament here and there. in the midst of COVID, and yes, you've had COVID and all that stuff, I still don't think he's done much. I mean, I was in a podcast yesterday, and the guys are saying, how long left does he have left? Because, I mean, what's he been doing? Question I've been asking for quite some time as well. Should be Augustine Bishop, but we will calm down. But anyway, going back to Rassie, I think it's unfortunate and sad, but I think with the way rugby is, it did put a dent in the game. It did put a sour taste in a lot of people's mouths. There were things that he shouldn't have said, but there were things that definitely deserved to be brought to light. But again, whether you're South African or not, everyone's opinion will indeed be different. Now let's look at Rassie Erasmus. What South Africa are planning to appeal this ban with Rassie, but what can Rassie fulfill for the next 2 months? That's what everyone's asking. So it says, as SA Rugby noted in its submission, Erasmus' job description is wide-ranging. As a result, he won't be able to do the following: long-term planning of SA Rugby's elite player development, pathway and succession and planning, operation of SA Rugby's national academy, professional coach development and succession planning, the performance of national teams, which include both men's and women's, the national sevens team, and all age grade teams. The selection policies and processes regarding all national teams, the monitoring of all franchise and provincial teams' performances, the effective functioning of all SA Rugby sports science and medical services, including conditioning and nutrition to participants, and the performance of SA Rugby's elite referees panel. But they said, can he resume those after 2 months ban? The question is yes. And then it says, what is the match day ban until the 30th September entail exactly? So, World Rugby's verdict is quite clear on that. He's suspended from any match day involvement, including coaching, which prohibits any direct or indirect contact via communication devices or otherwise with team management or players on match days. Prohibited from entering the relevant stadium, coaches' boxes, playing enclosures, technical area, approaching or communicating with match officials on the day. Is prohibited from engaging in any feedback process with match officials during the period covered by the suspension. Prohibited from engaging in media duties in relation to relevant matches. Does the match day relate only to games involving South Africa and internationals? No, otherwise, as World Rugby points out, Erasmus could easily resign and take up a job with another club or provincial and effectively free himself from that suspension. And then they say, hasn't World Rugby gone a bit of a power trip with sanctioning? As World Rugby governing body, World Rugby has powers in this regard that are very wide as per regulation 18.10.1. There's no precedent or stipulation that says suspension should be tied to matches. Obviously, this is going to hurt South Africa, obviously, but obviously World Rugby is a boss at the end of the day, and what can we do to argue with it? It's a hell of a harsh call, and it's a hell of a situation going forward. I think it's too harsh, but I'm a South African. That's my opinion. Obviously, other people will agree and think maybe he should be banned for longer. But who would have thought? Being a water boy would get you banned, or creating a YouTube video would be banned. Cheapers. YouTube creators out there, be careful, eh? We could be banned too soon. Just kidding. Gotta have some sense of humour in these dark times, guys. But overall, it's a sad day for SA Rugby that we've lost our icon. But on the positive side, and yes, there is a positive side, Jacques Nanaba has the opportunity to lead and to take over at full front. We've often seen him being in the midst of all of this, and it's always been Rassie this. Now it's going to be Jacques. There's no Rassie sitting at home with a beer and celebrating while on Skype to Rassie. There's none of that anymore. This is all Coach Jacques' game. And this is a perfect opportunity for him to stand out and show South Africa and the world that he also has the brains behind the box. He also has the quality and the level and education and experience to take this team to the next level. So amongst the dark time of us losing Rassie, I see it as a positive for Coach Jacques Nanaba to really take on this position and take it on by himself, and therefore the world not saying, where's Coach Waterboy, where's Coach man next to the so-called senior coach. It's going to be a good opportunity for Jacques to really take a stand, and that I'm excited about. So yeah, interesting times ahead. Obviously, South Africa are going to appeal. There's been questions while they're appealing. Surely Rassie's allowed to get back to his duties because it's appealing. We'll have to wait and see. But I don't think World Rugby are going to give us that opportunity at all. We already know they're not too big fans of us in any case, so let's wait and see. Okay, just a joke. That's going to do it for today's video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Give it a thumbs up, subscribe if you're new, and I'll see you guys real soon for another one. Stay safe and never give up. Cheers.